Do you know how to use an electronic medical record, also known as EMR? Well, if not, I am Rufus Charles Rio, and you are in the right video. But before we proceed to the demonstration on how to use an electronic medical record, let me define to you first what an electronic medical record is and what is its difference to electronic health record, also known as EHR. An electronic medical record is a digital version of the paper charts in clinician's office. It contains the medical treatment and history of the patient, but the data gathered are only contained within one organization. It means that EMR is intra-organizational, or it is only used by one single organization. Now, an EHR does all the same thing as EMR. But the difference is that EHR is inter-organizational. It means that it is used by a group of organizations or various organizations, and it is built to share information with healthcare providers. An EMR is very helpful because it increases the quality of care by being accurate and quick at the same time. It also helps to organize data faster and retrieves data from the database faster, and of course, it functions as a communication among healthcare professionals within an organization. Now, although it has its advantages, it also has disadvantages. Just like, for example, there is a higher risk for breach to security or risk for hackers. That is why we need to adhere to certain standards that are set internationally. And since we're in the Philippines, we need to adhere to the Data Privacy Act of 2012 so that we would minimize these risks to protect our patient and of course to ultimately render our highest quality of care. So, let's proceed to the demonstration. Magandang araw po. Ano po ang pakay nila?
Nahihirapan po ako huminga kasi po may asthma po ako dati.
Ay kung ganun po, ay pakifill upan na lang po muna ito ng mga impormasyon tungkol sa inyo para po malaman po kung meron na po kayong record dito sa ospital. At kung wala pa naman po kayong record dito sa ospital, ay maaari po kayong magawa ng record. Huwag po kayong mag-alala kasi po ang mga impormasyon na makukuha namin dito ay mananatili pong confidential at sa loob ng ospital namin. Unless na lang po ay kailanganin dito para sa inyong benefits katulad na fit health. At ito rin po yung magsisilbing track namin para makita namin kung bumubuti po ba yung inyong kalagayan. It is important to brief the patient regarding their data so that they are informed about what we are going to do with their personal information.
Okay po.
Okay po. Pwede po bang pakiulit po ang inyong pangalan?
Clara Shaila Rio,
Ilan taon na po kayo?
35 years old,
At kailan po ang inyong kaarawan?
August 11, 1985.
Okay po. Itatype ko muna to dito sa ating system. Tapos po ay i-admit ko na po kayo sa inpatient natin. So the first step is to log in using your account in the inpatient department to the platform that you will use. For the purpose of this demonstration, I will be using the inpatient department of the demo version OpenMRS as it provides a simulation of an actual EMR scene in hospitals. For those who would want to access this site or who wants to try this site, I would provide a link in the description below. After logging in, register the patient. In registering the patient, information such as the name, the age, the birthday, sex, address, contact information, and person in case of emergency should be provided. After providing this information, admit the patient. okay na po tayo, i-admit ko na po kayo sa inpatient at maya-maya po ay meron na pong kukuha ng inyong vitals. Pakihintay na lang po siya. Thank you. Magandang umaga po, ma'am. Ako po yung nurse nyo ngayong araw at kukunin ko lang po yung inyong mga vitals. So, tayo po muna tayo para po makuha po natin yung height and weight nyo. Tapos po, maya-maya, kukunin naman po natin yung pulse nyo, yung inyong BP at yung temperature nyo po. Tara po. After admitting the patient in the inpatient department, capture the patient's vitals. These include the height, weight, temperature, pulse, respiratory rate, blood pressure, arterial blood oxygen saturation, or pulse oximeter. Once done, click on Visit Note. We can choose the patient's medical diagnosis and whether it is primary or confirmed. We can put our assessment, diagnosis, and other relevant information in the nursing care plan, including implementation and evaluation strategies on the clinical notes. This is a sample case I made for my patient. Now, since the patient already mentioned that she has an asthma, I chose asthma as her primary diagnosis. After choosing the primary diagnosis, let's proceed to the clinical note. In the assessment, I would write the objective data that I have gathered from my patient. That includes wheezing upon expiration and inspiration, tachypnea, dyspnea, sputum production, and suprasternal retraction. After finishing the assessment, put the nursing diagnosis. The nursing diagnosis that I chose would be ineffective breathing pattern related to presence of secretion as evidenced by wheezing and productive cough. After putting the nursing diagnosis, put your plan. So in planning, I put at number 1, after series of client teaching to the patient, the client or the patient will demonstrate pursed sleep breathing and diaphragmatic breathing. Next one, after 30 minutes of nursing intervention, the patient will show signs of decreased respiratory effort as evidenced by absence of dyspnea and tachypnea. After the planning, put the nursing intervention. This should list all intervention that will be performed to the client. That includes monitoring of the vital signs every 30 minutes, auscultation of the lung fields, encourage deep breathing, position the client to semi-Fowler's position, demonstrate pursed sleep breathing and diaphragmatic breathing, encourage increased oral fluid intake, demonstrate the use of incentive spirometer, and administer medication as prescribed by the doctor.
Finally, after the intervention, put the evaluation. This will indicate whether the goal was met or not met. So, in the evaluation, I put the patient demonstrated pursed lip breathing and diaphragmatic breathing. Goal met. Next is after 30 minutes, the patient showed signs of decreased respiratory efforts as evidenced by absence of dyspnea and tachypnea. Goal met.
After finishing the clinical note, hit save, and then proceed to the allergies and ask the patient if she has certain allergies to certain medication or food. Other information, such as appointments, family members, conditions, attachment for laboratory results, and other files, can be provided. Before finishing the visit, make sure to ask the patient with any concerns or question regarding the procedure performed.
Tama talagang sa computer ilagay ang data. Pwede ba sa papel na lang?
Yes po, importante po na mailagay natin ang inyong data sa ating database or sa electronic medical record or sa system kasi po it would ultimately enhance our quality of care that will be rendered to you by being quick and at the same time accurate. So, kung meron man po kayong kinakatakot katulad ng breach o kaya ng mga hackers ay wag po kayong mabahala kasi po may sinusunod po tayong standards na or standards sa pag-manage po ng mga ganitong record. Now, kung in case po na magkaroon nga po ng ganitong scenario, ay meron po tayong mga contingency plan at meron po tayong breach team na maaaring pakilusin para gawan po ng solusyon yung problema. Kaya po, wala po kayong dapat ikabahala. Lastly, do not forget to log out of the platform to prevent hackers or other unauthorized people to access the system. By doing this, it increases the security of the patient data that is beneficial to both the patient and the hospital.